get into this last segment, and we're talking about a little bit about staking. I know that we've spent the better part of the last 10 days in just the SBF fallout and how it's impacted, but there are still ways that we can do some and make money in this space. And actually, now's the best time to start doing it. When everybody else is running for the hills, that's when you should be running to them, running away from them. So I think this is a perfect time to start introducing some of these other ways that we can actually make money. And then so not only now that we're catching the bottom, but also as it continues to make you steady passive income, correct? With staking.
Correct. So what is for the green bean out there who's never encountered this, proof of stake or staking or creating a node literally is, why is it a profitable, or how does it generate revenue? So proof of work is because it's doing math and it's securing the network and processing transactions, you get paid. Well, they're like, you know what, proof of work or energy consumption should come to a point where it shouldn't be the consensus mechanism or the way we secure the network or process transactions. Let's find another way. Staking is the other way, the next experiment in consensus mechanisms, meaning to secure the network and process transactions. So proof of stake, how does it work? This consensus mechanism or this validation, the concept is, how do I keep the network honest? Well, if you're willing to spend a shit ton of money to secure the network, it's very unlikely you will kamikaze yourself or commit suicide by exposing the network. Well, proof of stake is that next iteration. What are you putting at stake to keep the network honest? It's you're putting your store of value. So the concept is the following. Ethereum is an example of this. You need 32 ETH to create a node where you start securing the network and processing transactions. That 32 ETH is put into the server where you lock the key and then tell the network, guys, I'll process this transaction. If I do anything dishonest, you can slash my value. That's what staking is. So if you're wondering, shit, I just grab one of these miners and just plug it into my house and I produce money. What a scam, guys. No. It's actually a way you're really providing a service to that blockchain you're mining for. That's what proof of stake is. So that's the introduction to this category. So Ethereum, there's so many others that are in deploying under that proof of stake mechanism to secure and process transactions is where we're at. So that's,
there's two big points that I want to expound on. The first is you have people who are actually hosting a validator. Okay. When you're hosting a validator, what that means is you've literally built enterprise grade server infrastructure. You've locked your money in, and basically your nuts are on the table. If you do something wrong, your nuts get punched. It's kind of how it works. You actually have something to lose for acting dishonestly, and you have something to gain for acting honestly. So why would I act dishonestly? It only makes sense that I would act honestly. And then the second piece is you have people who are delegated stakers, and they have a different level of risk. A delegated staker, what they have at risk is they're putting trust in the person who's hosting the validator node, saying, you know what, I believe these people are going to do right by the network, and accordingly, I'm going to make money because of it. Now, if they're wrong, if they picked the wrong validator, they don't get paid, and that's what they're putting at risk. What they're getting put at risk is the validator might not pay them out correctly. And so that's the big idea here of like, you want to find people who are hosting a validator who are consistent and are trustworthy. And then you as a delegated staker can say, okay, I'm going to make it so my money, it points towards that node. That node is validating for me and I get paid for it. And some this is different for every blockchain that does proof of stake, but and not all of them do this delegated thing. like ETH doesn't do this delegated staking thing, but there are some like, Tezos and Cosmos and Solana, just and Polygon Matic, just to name some big players who do support that. You can do non-custodial delegated staking, meaning if I'm hosting a validator, I never hold your private keys. You're still holding your private keys. You're just saying, hey, since I have my private keys, this validator represents me on the network and I get paid because of it, right? And so I'm sure there's a lot more we can talk about with this, but you can clearly see, like, you don't have to have a huge amount of sophistication or complexity added to your life to make money in this. You can be a delegated staker, and it doesn't take much. It takes you just getting that set up, and then your money's just growing without you having to really do anything other than just watch it grow.
Yeah. I mean, and simply put, all staking is you have a certain protocol that you choose that you believe has some value in the space, most importantly, future value in the space. And once you have identified that conviction asset and you've chosen to invest in said asset, all staking is locking up those coins so that you earn a yield on said coin. So it has nothing to do with market value necessarily. It has to do with you earning yield on the coin you have locked up. So there's no point in staking if you don't want to earn yield of a coin you have staked. So it's not like you just earn money. That's a market value issue. You earn a yield of more of said coin that you stake. So if your coin does not hold value or accrue in value in the future, then you're earning yield for a coin that is going the wrong way or backwards. But it is a very relatively simple hands-off method of earning passive income in this space. That does not mean that it comes without risk. There are all kinds of ways to earn passive income in this space. Off camera, we thought of a few in this space. You can dollar cost average, which we've talked about. You can stake, which we're talking about now. You can be a farmer for liquidity pools. You can have airdrops. You can trade. You can do DeFi lending. You can do NFT sales or royalties. You can mine. Okay. But all those aren't just a simple hands-off thing. There's a lot more to it. Yes, you can make money, but there's risks in every single one, or there's further education in every single one. Staking is a relatively easy one to do, relatively just very passive, but you have to lock up your coins for a predetermined amount of time. In return, you earn yield. What you do with that yield is up to you. If you want to sell it, sell it. If you want to reinvest the yield into a different coin, reinvest the yield in a different coin. If you want to take your rewards and recycle them right back into your stack of coins so that you continually get a larger and larger pool of staked assets, you can do that too. There's a lot of things, but risk number one is that you have to identify a conviction asset. You don't just want to stake something because it can be staked. You need to have reasons why it is your conviction asset, reasons why you believe in the longevity of the coin. Because the real power of staking, just like compounding numbers, comes in holding long term. If you hold long term and you've identified the right conviction asset, then you can make a huge pool of money that hopefully in a good solid bull run, you can cash in for life-changing money. So it's a good thing to start to learn, but there are absolute risks. Like I said, the market value of the coin goes to zero. Now you have a huge staked pool of zero value as far as dollars are concerned. If you choose the wrong validator, you can get slashed. And even though your coins are safe, you won't earn rewards because your validator was bad. So,
let me answer this question real quick.
Go ahead.
So this is actually a brilliant question. I appreciate your interaction here. So how can you espouse protecting your wealth at all costs on one hand and putting your coins at risk through, slashing on the other? Am I missing something? So the validator themselves, they're at risk for slashing if they don't perform correctly. You as a delegated staker do not get slashed. What you are at risk for is if you're if the validator that you've said, hey, this one represents me, messes up, you might not get paid consistently on time. But your coins do not get slashed.
Right.
The validators do.
This is exactly, and we've talked about this in our Discord, which definitely go to our Discord and check that out. We'll put the link in the chat. But there are centralized exchanges, your Coinbase and your FTX and the like, that run validator nodes. Don't delegate to those guys.
Right.
Why? Because they represent everything wrong, but B, they rarely, if ever, Binance included, contribute to the actual code and the protocol that you're staking in. They just have a node because they can make money. So you don't want to stake with a centralized, exchange validator just because you recognize the name and you think, well, it's a big name, so it's safe.
Like FTX.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that you have to know how to validate cryptocurrency to play in the staking game. You don't. But what you want to do is identify a conviction asset, one, and reasons why you want to stake one coin over another. And then number two, at least look at the validators and what they've done in the past. Look at their slashing records, look at their contributions to the protocols, and make sure that you're contributing to a validator that's worth their salt in the game, that they have something in the game other than just money, which a lot of the centralized exchange validators do. They just have a lot of money, so they spin up a node and they make money off of you, versus a true validator that actually contributes to the chain that you're on. So again, there's still understanding there, and you still have to figure it out. But once you do figure it out, staking is one of the easiest forms of passive income in cryptocurrency for a number of reasons, things we won't even get into, like airdrops and exposure. And it's just a phenomenal game that, I am in myself for
That'll
sure.
be a good talk.
I absolutely stake my crypto. So
Yeah. And if I just want to mention two things on this. Sorry, Brendan.
No, you're good.
I love the question, though. How can you espouse protecting your wealth at all costs on one hand, but putting your coins at risk through slashing on the other? We've answered that. But also in terms of protecting your wealth. So let's say Bitcoin, you don't stake. It's proof of work. You store that. So that's your gold. But like any investor, you also have silver or bronze or whatever other metals. That's kind of how I see the other coins personally.
Jewels,
Palladium. Diamonds. And if I can earn a yield by staking, okay, I'm willing to risk those. So that's how you can espouse. It's kind of like a balance of, okay, here's my gold, here's my silver. Let me put my silver to work. And doing your research to ensure, because even Boss Don mentioned he changed his validator in Cosmos. So in other words, he put it in one, he did his research like Tamp said, and realized, oh, you know what, there's this validator that's doing a better job because they're most likely investing, developing, they're active in the community in that blockchain. Thus he changed it and now his yields went up. So that's what the research does for you. And that's what we're espousing, is there are ways to continually build yield. Now, the last statement I'll make, which is related to what Tamp also said of it could go to zero. When you buy a crypto or invest in a crypto, look at it as if you're buying pesos or pesetas or euros. It is not dollar. And just like those coins or those fiats can go to shit or climb, so does the actual asset or token you're investing in. It has market volatility. So you will be earning in pesos, euros, or whatever that token is. So look at it in those terms so it makes sense to you on what does it mean that I'm not making this amount of dollars? No, you're actually invested in euros in this instance.
Right. Yeah.
That's it. Sorry, Brandon.
One last, because I know we're coming up on time here, but I want to answer this question. So when you stake, it also helps secure the network, if I'm not mistaken. So yes, the way that functions is the person who's validating, they're providing a service. You can delegate to them, and you get paid for delegating because you're providing a service and that you're providing stability for the price action because there's less in supply. And so that's one thing. The second thing is your validator will get paid for providing that service, and that increases the amount of nuts they have on the table that can get smashed. Does that make sense? Yes. And so you're not at risk of being slashed as a delegator. You're just at risk of not being paid if the delegator's a turd. But the delegator has more at risk for acting badly the longer things go on and the more people believe in them. So it basically incentivizes you to just do right by your community, because not only do you have the money at stake, but you also have this community that trusts you, that you'd be screwing over.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. You secure the network not because you staking your coins actually does that. What it does is it keeps all the biggest validators that have the biggest pool of said coin. It deters them from acting maliciously and taking over the coin through governance or through a rug pull. It will actually cost them money to do that, and they're better off just making money by continuing to do good.
It's a shot in the
And
foot.
you know, like some people will say that like staking is a Ponzi, and it's not. If you stake the wrong coin and get rugged or get overthrown by what's called a 51% attack and you lose all your coin, that is a risk for sure and can happen. But it is absolutely not a Ponzi. It's the same thing as a savings account that actually works and pays you more than 1 cent every 6 months for holding your money in a savings account. That is essentially the way it works. You take out all the corrupt middlemen from the banking system, and savings accounts are great as long as our dollar doesn't go to shit. So the system works, but it's the bad actors that get into the fiat banking world that make it not worth it. And cryptocurrency is changing that, where it's the same type of thing. You lock up your savings in a conviction asset and you get paid a yield for doing that. You just take out the middlemen that take out the yield for you and give us 5 cents every 6 months, you know, as a thank you for doing that. So it absolutely works.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is also an interesting comment here, and I'm going to leave it at this because we will continue that conversation perhaps on Friday. But Bitcoin Motorist appears to be a maxi and says that proof of work is the only honest way to secure a network. That is going to be a very interesting conversation, but I think we should continue to have that on Friday. But if you want to have it before Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern time when we'll be live next, make sure you go check us out on Discord. The link is in the description. We'd love to have you guys over there. It's absolutely free to join just to continue to be a part of our conversations and grow our community.